Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Mad Mamluks. I'm Mahin, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Mort and Sim. And in today's show, we welcome a good friend of ours, Ziyad Dadabhoy, who is here to talk about Miss Chicago and the upcoming tournament. Now, Ziyad, welcome, man. Jazakallah khair for coming through.
Jazakallah for having me. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How you guys doing?
Alhamdulillah, man. Not too much, man. Yo, so Miss Chicago, it's like the dew on top of the grass kind of thing. Like, is that like, are you guys a subsidiary of like Scott's Lawn Care or something?
I mean, basically, we just take care of everything.
Okay. No, but real, what does it stand for?
So MIS stands for Muslim Inter-Scholastic Tournament. It was a high school tournament started back in 2003 by a woman named Shazia in Houston, Texas. And so Miss Houston was the original, and they've been running strong since then, and MIST has expanded to, I think, now 15 regions all over the U.S., Canada, and I think MIST UK was actually announced this year.
Okay.
So it's a tournament for high school students, both Muslim and non-Muslim. You register through your MSA, and you compete in everything ranging from arts to speech to, Miss Bowl to Math Olympics to Quran and Nasheed.
Okay.
All right, so we have the whole gamut of things, but it's all usually centered around like Islamic themes.
And you started back you were from Houston originally, right?
Yes.
Is that you first got involved with MIST?
Yep, I competed for 4 years straight. My first 2 years in high school, my sister was president, and we went to MIST. And then my last 2 years in high school, I was MSA president, and I took a small group from my school as well. And, we just competed in whatever we could, did Miss Bowl, did, math, did debate, did whatever, our students had. So that was 4 years of competing. And then I came to Chicago and didn't really get involved because I didn't have a car at the time. I was just going to IIT.
You still ain't got no car.
No, I got rid of my car again, which is the best thing I've done. And then, Bahamda, once I got a car for a little bit, I started getting more involved. And last MIST 2016 was my first MIST I, helped organize in Chicago, and then this MIST is the second year I've been doing.
All right, we'll get back to MIST in a little bit, but I gotta mention this. I remember the first time we met, like I think your freshman year at IIT, right? You were an engineering student. Now you look a little different back then. It's weird, man. Like Sheikh Abdurrahman Chow, was in town.
My boy, I love that guy.
He was just chilling for like a week. He wasn't even doing much program. He was doing a couple lectures here and there, but we were going for like churros and like bawadi.
Yeah.
We were going out like every day.
I remember those churros. They were delicious.
And like we have a friend named Bakr that was, taking him around, and Danish from Houston. And then there's this kid that's hanging out too. He's a freshman at Illinois Tech, or IIT back, they used to call it back then. No beard. It's like some random kid. Not a problem, was just there, right? And then I run into you like last summer at ICN, I think.
Yeah.
And then we're like talking for a little bit. I'm like, I know you from somewhere. And then Bakr's like, yeah, this guy. This guy's Ziyad. And I'm like, for real? Like, you were like, what, 5'5" back then?
Oh, man. It was, I don't think I was that short, but.
You were small. And you were like.
I think it was the beard. When I shaved my beard, I looked like 10 years younger. So no one recognizes me. Like, I get that my ID still has no beard. And so, like, at the airport, they'll do, like, a double take. They're like, who is this guy?
But also, your look was different, too. Because right now, I see you got, like, you got some, like, nice little fashion to you,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had no style back in my freshman year. Like, how Facebook has that, like, this is in your past, right? Like, all those pictures, I'm like, delete. I look so creepy.
No doubt. No, because you got a snapback looking. I definitely appreciate your style. Now, you came back from Japan a few weeks ago. So talk to us a little about this Japan trip. I almost like, why don't you just wait? You're about to get married soon in a few months. Why did you just decide to go early?
Man, I think Japan has been one of like a fascination of mine since like I think middle school, high school, right? I started reading manga, started watching anime, and my love for Japan just went from there.
So what is manga? Like, what do you?
Is it like Nanga but with an M?
Yeah, because manga is like mango.
But a bunch of
Arabic,
naked people, right?
I'm kind of confused.
That's why you went before you're married. You went for the Basuras and the Nanga people.
Mort, I don't know how you're my friend if you don't know manga.
So do you
I
know?
don't watch.
Do you know what
dude.
anime is?
Did you?
I know what anime is, but I don't watch it. Dude.
So majority of
I don't
the
like.
Do
Cartoons.
you know like Ghost in the Shell, Attack on Titan?
No, I don't know these things.
Oh my god, he's missing so many cultural references.
I don't watch cartoons, dude. I'm sorry. I don't
Oh
watch
man, that's just degrading it now. If you're calling them cartoons.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cartoons.
what's your favorite manga, dude?
Damn, that's a hard question. So wait, first to answer your question more, manga is basically just like the cartoon drawing version, right? So animes are usually the like actual animated that you watch on TV. Mangas are what you read, like they're comic books.
Comic books.
Yeah, but I
It's
mean,
called comic books.
because it's manga.
No, it's from Japan. Anything from Japan.
Oh, we gotta make it
called
special
manga.
because it's from Japan. You know what's from Japan? There's radiation from Japan. Okay, that's what's from there. Okay, go ahead.
Fukushima Daiichi.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite anime is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh yeah. That's a classic.
That is it's a pretty intense one also. And that was only the stuff I bought. All the anime stuff I bought was from that anime. But my favorite manga, I would say, I think is Naruto, just because that was like the first one I read.
Right.
So it just has like a place in my heart, right? I grew up with that and stuff. And then One Piece is just like the master of them all. So that's really good. But yeah, so no, Japan. So yeah, as I was reading all of these, watching all of them, I got more into the culture, more into the food. Like sushi, ramen, just like all these things about Japan. And then as my love for like cities and like urban environments grew, like Tokyo is a densely packed city that has like the best transportation system. So, I started looking more into that. And I just wanted to visit. It's been my dream for a while. And going before I was married was a way for me to go on a very budget cost, right? Like my flight was pretty budget. I did like a random layover in Hong Kong. I, stayed in Airbnbs that I wouldn't have been able to stay once I get married. And, I was able to just do it very budget focused that I wouldn't have been able to do after getting married, I think.
Okay. Now, talk to us a little about your, like, streetwear. Because that's what Japan's known for, too. Like, there are a lot of sneaker shops, like, Atmos and stuff like that.
I mean, that was, like, half the reason I started, like, or wanted to go, right? Like, because I started getting into streetwear. I know me and you have talked about this, Mahin, just, like, general streetwear and stuff. And Japan has whole neighborhoods that are known for streetwear. And so it was really cool going there because you see streetwear over there is like very much of a common thing. Like their normal department stores will have streetwear like sections. Really.
Can you define streetwear for someone who ain't woke?
So streetwear is like a whole genre of fashion that is kind of focused on a lot very brand focused in a way. Like most fashion is, but they have like very street style, right? A lot of sneakers, a lot of caps, a lot of customization through jackets and different items like that, and a lot of interesting designs, right? Like the famous brand Supreme has a very simple red box with their name in it, but like a white T-shirt with Supreme on it's like $300, right? It's great because it's all about
That's the
limited
resale
quantity.
value on it. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
It's limited too, right? So a lot of streetwear could be like limited. Like the retail price might not be that expensive. Like a Supreme T-shirt would be like $50, right?
Yeah, but like you can't ever get it at retail, right?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing with streetwear. It's all about exclusivity. It's all about hype. All the people who follow it are called hype beasts because everything is announced like a couple months before. It grows in hype, and then like 10 are made, and whoever has those is like
If you want to wear the stuff, you have to like have a full-time job to keep up with when the stuff is being released. Basically,
It's not that hard.
Are you kidding me? I have 2 weeks to decide if I want something or not.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you have like 2 months. That's the thing. They announce it a while like before, so the hype grows, right? So that like everyone wants it.
But then they make one shirt.
No,
And then they say it's sold out.
Yeah, it's so lame.
And then you'll find it like
That's
you'll
kinda
see it
lame.
on
It is.
resale places.
It's a marketing strategy. You got to build a
Yeah.
pipe.
I mean, I get that, but I wouldn't be a sheep. I would be all right. Well,
we had the Sata Sliman, and he's expecting all of his line of clothing to be
this
sold
is so
out.
cool, man. Because me growing up, like this whole genre of clothing didn't exist. Like it was just you had your jeans, your Levi's, you had your Timbs, and you had like a sweaty or some kicks or whatever it was, and a 59 fitty, and that was it, right? I mean, that was done, and like now it's like it's just different, man. I remember the craziest thing when we were growing up was like I saw the first like gothic person in my life. I'm like, yo, what is that, dude? Like, I was like, yo, what is that, right? This guy had like crazy stuff going on, and piercings started coming in, and then you had people dressed like they were dead. Like it was just crazy, right? And now it's kind of cool because you see like it's mixed between like this suburban and then like urban. And I think that's what I look like a streetwear. It's like mixed between suburb, urban.
I think a lot of like Muslim kids and people our age who are Muslim who grew up in suburban areas or like, let's be real, like white areas. They like my wife, for example. She just thinks she wouldn't call it streetwear. She's like, you just look like a thug. Do you agree with that perception?
You are very dangerous.
A lot of cats think it's just too ghetto.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, it's definitely streetwear has always been a very urban thing. Definitely very Black associated. A lot of the brands, a lot of like the people who bought them and stuff. I think nowadays you see a lot of more people getting into it just because of like the internet and social media. Like you have way more access, but it's still a lot of times, I think, a generational thing. Like if you are like, you know, a kid in the suburb and you're wearing full out streetwear, everyone's going to be like, what are you doing? Right. But if you're like in the city and wearing full streetwear, that's just like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's like normal. Right.
So let me ask you a question about the whole streetwear thing. Do you think a rise in this is partly because of like Instagram and Snapchat where people snap how they look and like they Instagram how they look and they want to put it out to the world and look how dope and fresh I am. You know what I mean? Check me out type of thing. Is that what kind of inspires some of these crazy fashions and collaborations of different styles?
I think it's definitely helped. I mean, streetwear was huge in the 90s. Like, I think the 90s was one of the biggest times for streetwear, but it's definitely helped that nowadays anyone can get into streetwear and get a following. Like, before, if you were into, like, streetwear, you either, you know, had to, like, be featured in a magazine or, like, you know, have a website or be, like, a rapper in, like, your music video, right? But nowadays, you can have an Instagram, get, like, all these fresh pieces, and, you know, you can get people following you and commenting. So it's definitely helped.
So I got one more question about streetwear. Where does, like, a Wu-Tang shirt fit in all this?
That's streetwear there.
It fits in because, I mean, I still have an old school Wu-Tang t-shirt.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Wu wear was
like,
dope.
I have, like, a classic. Yo, I got a classic 36 Chambers cassette from, like, 1994 that I bought off the street in New York.
Yeah, put that Wu-Tang t-shirt with, you know, some jeans and some Yeezys.
You know what we used to wear it with?
streetwear.
We used to wear camouflage cargos. That's what we used to wear it with in Timberlands.
Yo, man, on the real though, our community is in general poorly dressed. So what we've been trying to do is in our podcast, we've been having a lot of people who dress sharp. You know, guys like Ubaydullah Evans and the guys like Sat Taslim, and these guys are sharply dressed. And what kind of advice would you give someone to want to start out? Should they just start shopping at Uniqlo first and figure out
what
they do?
You mentioned when you were a freshman or probably in high school, I assume too, you probably, like a lot of us grew up where our parents, like I dress the way I dress now because I have money. It's all the stuff that I couldn't cop when I was in the 90s in high school. Because my pops would buy me stuff from like Izod.
St. John's Bay.
What?
St. John's Bay.
Or something, yeah.
Some J.C. Penney.
Basically, like, your parents will dress you up to make sure you get jumped at school just for, like...
I want to know what did you dress up as in high school?
In high school, the way I would, like, basically when my pops got whatever
Yeah, but what was, like, a polo?
Like a polo, yeah.
Or a button-down, or what was it, khakis?
Yeah, Izod sweater, you know, with some stripes. Occasionally, he'd get me some Tommy, like, one pair of kicks a year, right? So I remember my dad would let me have a job. You know, he's like, it's going to distract from your studies. So, right? So he would get, I remember, so the most expensive pair of shoes he ever bought me in high school was when they redid the Chuck Taylors and made them like with the tumbled leather.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
nice.
those were dope.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty dope.
But, like, that's one pair of shoes, white shoes, for the whole year. Nothing
They got
else,
dirty
no
the first day.
rotation.
They were
You got
black at the end
smudges
of the year.
first day on
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now Uniqlo made it a lot easier for people to get affordable clothing that is in style, right? So-
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is fit. Like, people just don't realize, make sure something fits, right? Like, they'll just go get, like, you know, a badly fitting suit from, like, Macy's for, like, a wedding or something. And it's like, you could have easily paid, like, you know, $50 more and got something that just fits, right? Like, most things, as long as you get it where it fits you, then you'll be fine, right?
Right.
Yeah, like, in high school and stuff, it was, like, my parents, right? I got a lot of Gap and Old Navy stuff. I still love Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, all their stuff, Uniqlo. I think the biggest thing is color coordination, right? Like figuring out what colors look together and stuff, and figuring out, you know, as long as it fits you, then you'll be fine. I think that's what most people like get hung up on. They don't know what colors look good together, and then they don't like have anything that fits nicely. And you can see that in our culture, especially. A lot of people just wearing ill-fitting stuff. Go to like any wedding, half the guys there, it just doesn't fit them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because it's hand-me-down or they don't know how to like find something that fits them.
Well, I think a lot of guys, they look at their dads and they just, oh, he looks, well dressed, and that's how I should dress. At least from the immigrant communities.
Yeah, that's hot because we had one of our earlier guests was his brother Osman Aslam. He owns this menswear customization shop called Frank Lloyd, and we talk about this, same thing. It's not that hard. Like, here's the thing. So I had him make a suit for me, and so I go to a wedding now, and people think I'm the groom because you just stand out so much on just the fit.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? Like, as long as it fits nicely, you just look good, right? And I think also another problem is like people would find like shortcuts, right? Like, people will wear like kind of outlandish things, and to everyone else, it'll look as if like, oh, he's dressing up, right? He's looking nice. But if you kind of like, if you know basic style, you're just like, that looks whack, right? Like if you're wearing like, a brightly colored bow tie, everyone's like, oh man, look, that looks so nice. But everyone like, if you're just like, that looks whack, that like, stop wearing that type of stuff, right? Or like ties made out of wood and stuff. It's like, well, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like that may look like, don't wear that to an actual wedding. Like you're just gonna look weird. But for a lot of people who don't know, it's just like, oh, that's cool, right? Yeah. So I think that's just like,
You know what I think? A lot of things are people don't match enough. Like I've noticed where people will just like things that don't match at all. Like I can't give examples, but you just know it when you see it. Like, dude, that doesn't match. Stop wearing it. And I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't have to match. You mean like playoff? Well,
no. What I'm saying,
one color
doesn't. It doesn't go together with an outfit.
Right.
I'm not saying colors. I'm saying generally whatever you have doesn't go together with your outfit, dude. Like I've noticed small things like somebody be wearing, I don't know, like. This is a peeve of mine. It'll be like a black belt with like brown shoes. Like, bro, you can't do that kind of thing.
That's like a faux pas there, bro.
Yeah, like, bro, it just means that you didn't want to buy another belt and you just wore whatever belt you had and you put it on, right? So it's just, I mean, that's the idea that I get, dude.
All right, guys. So out there, everyone out there, make sure your belts match your shoe.
Yeah. Or here's the other line. If you're not gonna do that, just make sure you're confident as hell, because that's just one. Because honestly, the personality can outshine any kind of outfit you're wearing. So either if you got to be damn like really damn confident,
or good looking. Because if you're good looking, it doesn't matter.
Because there's some guys that have that hobo look and they pull it off, right? They can just come out to any wedding dressed like looking like a caveman, and they just have this bomb personality, bro. And everyone just gravitates. Oh, he's kind of weird looking, but he's so cool, right? So if you don't have that kind of personality, you better be dressing right.
Right. I actually think I will say that everyone in the studio right now is doing their thing. Like everybody is put together pretty well. I see Mort's got his black hat and his hoodie and olive joggers, and Ziyad, man, Nang, you got like the white going on. So I think a lot of it's neutrality too. Neutral colors need to be utilized properly, because I got some stuff that's loud, but you just gotta have to be able to play it off well. One difference I will say between the 90s and today is that streetwear was not like limited. You could go in the East Bay and like buy like a Karl Kani jacket, and they would mass produce it. This whole thing about that being limited is like I think more of a recent phenomenon. The last question I want to ask you, Ziyad, is, so what does your fiance think about like the way you look? Because she's from the suburbs, Daisy girl.
Yeah,
suburbs. Yeah, so she's probably like whitewashed as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is real. Does she give you crap about like how you dress, or is she down with it?
Not really. I mean, I don't think she really cares that much. Yeah, she lets me do my thing as long as I think I come,
As long as your aura's covered.
As long as my aura's covered. As long as I don't show up to like any like event where I'm underdressed, she's fine. Right? Like as long as I don't come to a wedding and I'm wearing like jeans and a snapback, what? She'll be good. As long as I'm dressed appropriately for the event, I don't think she really cares. And she's like, go do your thing, buy whatever you want. Like, it's your life, just dress how you want. And yeah, she's been supportive in that aspect. It's not like, she's ever been like, all right, you need to stop wearing snapbacks or anything, which is good because I have like 12 now. So
no, I'm glad you got that ironed out in advance. The challenge for me was growing up, I, liked a lot of the clothing that I wear now. Mm-hmm. And after I got married and I started making more money, then I was like, I have disposable income now. I was like, you know what? It's time to start doing this. But when I first got married, I dressed like really, because I remember when you're going through the Rishta process, you always got to be like dressed very nice, like, dress slacks and buttoned out and blazer. I used to always, there was a point in time, man, I wouldn't even wear jeans for like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
When I was MSA president at Ohio State, I used to always like like on Juma, I used to be dressed up. To, like,
so you were like Carlton?
Maybe, I wouldn't wear like, jeans at all. Like for like, I think couple years. And so my wife met me, I was kind of like that too, you know? And then a couple years in, I'm like, wait a second, you know, this isn't me.
I wish I knew you because before, honestly, at my age now, I kind of gave up on doing that stuff in a way, you know? But I had over like 40 pairs of Air Force Ones. I just gave them away to charity. Like I had.
What size do you wear?
I wear 10 and a half.
Dang, you could have just given them to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Sour Skittles, I had Superman, I had Scarface, I had all of them. I had all of them done, man.
Damn, this was a hype beast number 1 right here.
Yeah. I mean, but back in my days though, it was your fitted and your kicks.
Yeah,
that's all it was. There wasn't anything else. So your fitted had to match, you know, your kicks or you know, whatever it was. You had to match somewhere. You could be wearing this crazy color, but as long as it matched with your kicks, you were good.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's kinda how it was.
No, I have some shoes that are like that. I can only wear like, you know, like a Puma, teal Pumas with like a Marlins hat.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
old
I
school
had a
Florida
nickname
Marlins
like
hat.
Sour Skittles because I was in Florida. I had like this Adidas T-shirt. And it was like the rainbow color.
Yeah.
It had literally the Adidas kicks to match it, so they would call them Sour Skittles because they were like they looked like a sour Skittle candy. So they called me Sour Skittles, and I would go there. It was crazy, but I mean, I get that because sometimes it's fun to be a little flashy, right? If you could pull it off, right? You know, but for me, it gets too hard to keep up, man. Like, you know, after a point, you're like, hey, man, I got enough shoes, man. You know, unless you start selling them and like buying other stuff, or you know. But hey, I mean, it definitely does feel good to dress up. You know, I mean, in a way that you like, right? So for all of you out there that don't have the joy or don't know the pleasure of putting together a nice outfit,
Yeah.
you're missing.
No, that's
out on
like,
life.
I think like Ziyad, like we have a lot of mutual friends. Would you agree that most of them dress pretty normal?
Yeah, no, I think majority
It's
of
just,
like
or
our mutual
boring.
friends-
I would call it boring. Just not normal or boring. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I mean, I think it's like usually either you find like a group of friends that are into fashion and style and that do similar things, or you're the only one in your group of friends that does that type of thing. Right? It's usually like one or the other. It's not like you have like a few friends who do it. It's just like either you find people who do it and you like have a group like that, or you're the only person who does it in your group of friends.
Yeah, I know at my work, I kind of stick out like a sore thumb. In my department, we're in IT, so there's like a bunch of fobs and whatnot who, you know, they're like looking at me all funny. Then they've started asking me questions about style and how to dress well, and now they started buying, you know, decent jeans and started matching their belt with their shoes, you know. But it's cool. It's
Socks are another thing too, man.
Yeah.
Socks are important, dude. Your sock game got to be on point, dude. Especially if you're wearing a suit. Don't just wear some boring black socks from like, you know, from Kmart, dude. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Make sure
The gold
your
toe?
socks- Yeah.
Gold
Just
toe.
make sure your sock game is
Everyone's
on
got the
point.
gold toe and the Puma socks from Costco. And they wear that with
bulk
the freaking,
ones, right?
No, they'll buy the Puma socks from Costco and wear them with dress shoes.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not knocking anybody that can't afford this stuff. Obviously, you know, if
everything's
you're on a
affordable
budget,
now.
I actually think like so a lot of people
But there
ask
is
me,
Amazon.com, dude, so you can find stuff.
you know what?
that's gonna
That's a good. So like you're wearing like a shirt that's like a Supreme spinoff to Sunna.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's like $400. That's probably like
Oh no, definitely not.
you know. I mean, you don't have to blow a lot of money. People ask me a lot of times like, you know, how do I start? I'm like, you could start with like Chuck Taylors and Vans aren't like you can get Chucks for like $20.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, how far do you want to go? Like, if you're really into style and fashion, you can start spending on like a lot of expensive things because you want to get that, right? Like, that's your passion. Like, you want to get that cool jacket or you want to get those shoes that cost a little bit more. But if you want basic fashion, as you know, Sim was saying, you got Uniqlo, you got H&M, you got Gap these days. You can put a nice wardrobe together with each piece being like 30, 40 or under, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like there's no excuse these days. Like you can easily find stuff on Amazon. You can find stuff, you know, at your local stores which are affordable and look good. And as the most important thing, they'll fit. Like you just gotta find something that fits and you'll be fine. Like if you want the $200 shoes, that's usually if you're really passionate about style and like kicks and all that, then you get those like $200 shoes. But if you're not, you can get Vans for like 30.
Yeah,
bucks.
my personal approach is for clothing. I actually don't try. I try to avoid buying a lot of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And now even sneakers, you know, I'm a little pickier about what I pick up. I'm trying to wear them more.
Yeah.
Like, but I think sneakers I'll always keep growing that collection. But with clothes, I think I'm gonna keep it pretty tight and just try to manage around that. Just because the closet gets full, I try to be I'm almost like a minimalist when it comes to clothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my approach mentality. But with sneakers, it's not anti-minimalist.
So what do you guys think about these? You guys ever seen like these trunk clubs where like you pay a fee and like they send you like a trunk full of clothes every month or something?
It's super expensive. I've
I know.
looked into it.
How is it? Anybody?
I don't like. I talked to Obed a lot about this actually.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro. He's like, it's taken away the originality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a robot. That's why I
Well,
don't do it.
I had a stylist call me, and we were working together, and I'm like, you know what, the suggestions she gave me, it doesn't represent
Wait,
me.
So walk me through this. So you actually were
I told
joining up for this trunk club. So they have a stylist call you and say, well, what do you wear these clothes? What are you wearing? What's your purpose of clothes, right? So then what do they say? Okay, these are your recommendations. Is that what they do? And do they send you pictures or what do they do?
Yeah, she'd email me a whole bunch of pictures about what she think would look good, and I talked to. I had like a couple conversations with her, and then I was like, you know what, this is dumb. I trust my own outlook on fashion enough. I have a pretty good idea of what colors I like and what works. And
dude, all I know is that I would feel so awkward
myself.
if the next guy next to me had the same trunk club and got wearing the same outfit that I was. I'd
like-
feel so crappy, dude.
Half the fun for me is like finding the clothes, like
Right.
what goes with my style, what do
Right.
I like and stuff.
that's the fun part about it, that people don't realize that you can make it. You can make it a representation of you.
Yeah.
I think these are just another convenience thing, right? It's like those services where you order, they like give you all the ingredients and then you make the recipe that they include, right? It's for people who just, they don't care about clothes, but they want to make sure it fits and looks decent, right? So they're like, you know what? I have a little bit extra money where I can splurge on like a trunk club thing. I won't look like a hobo, but I don't really care to go shopping, right? So it's just like, it fits that little.
A lot of
niche
dudes
people.
like hate shopping. That's the thing. I think maybe we're not that. For us, we would go definitely.
When I get in the mall, I instantly get tired. Instantly, dude. Yeah. Instantly. When I get in the mall, when I go to the mall, I already know what I'm gonna buy beforehand, and I zoom to that store and I get it and I get out. I don't stay. I hate being in the malls, dude.
Bro. Sim, what's your take on, like, does your wife give you? Is she cool with how you dress?
Man, my wife only wants me to wear a thobe, and I hate thobes.
What?
But it's immobile. You can't run. I'm always practical. I feel like somebody might
criminal?
chase
Like,
me, and
I
I won't be able to run.
That's
know?
when you hike that thobe up and you sprint,
I
but not above the knees.
like
Cover
like a damsel in distress.
I taught him how to like pull it up if you have to run. But first of all, like, why are you thinking about running, dude?
No, there's Islamophobes out there. Dude, there's people who don't like Muslims. You might be in a situation where you have to run.
I get it, dude. But I'm saying, really, you're gonna run?
Yeah, dude, you have to run.
Then pull it up.
Pull it up and run like a damsel in distress.
Come on.
You can't even.
Are you really gonna run in snug jeans and boots? You're not gonna run in those things.
Yeah,
Come on.
listen,
you're not.
man,
you're
it's
not
much
wearing,
more.
You're not, no, wait,
Look,
you're not
how are you
wearing
gonna
any of these clothes because you're gonna run?
How are you
Right?
gonna
That's
jump
the
over a
bottom
fence
line.
with a thobe on, dude?
No, but
while
what I'm
holding
saying-
it up.
I'll tell you this much, dude. I'll just pull it up and run. I'm just saying.
I know,
just
but let's say a
just
fence is in your way.
just
How are you
like-
gonna?
No, listen. Just like when you're wearing jeans, you gotta grab your belt and go. Otherwise, you're not ready to run, right? So those jeans are gonna come off.
When
You gotta
Trump
grab
has
your
that
waist
wall,
to run.
when Trump has that wall,
You know what
you're
I'm
gonna be stuck up on that wall in all that barbed wire. I'll see. There.
I saw this guy in a thobe once, and I think it was when we met in Medina.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
had that and the Afghan hat on.
Just, you know what the hilarious thing is? Back in the days where he would wear, he actually looked good in it though. But his signature was when he would tie his keffiyeh and he would tie like a bandana.
Yeah.
It was like signature. You would see it coming. He looked like a mercenary coming down the street, like literally, like a Blackwater mercenary.
And he always had a shaved head, right?
Yeah.
For like
So
how
imagine
long?
imagine this
Since high
big,
school.
strong guy walking down the street in the nighttime with like this keffiyeh, like tied like a bandana to his head.
Yeah, if you want to like
Wearing
see
a
how that
trench
looks,
coat.
he has there's a Zakir Naik video online where I guess Zakir Naik was in Chicago once.
Yeah.
And you could check out if
Oh, yeah, I saw that. You're in the audience,
Yeah,
right?
99
Yeah, we're
or
not going to
something.
tell you which one it is, but wait, maybe you posted it, right?
I think I
You may
posted
have
it.
posted
Yeah,
it.
so
you posted
for those
it.
of you that check the Facebook, you guys can see the post with Sim in his younger days where he was rocking the bandana keffiyeh, looking like a boss in the crowd.
Yeah, no, I guess we're the same strokes. Like I figured your wife would have some beefs because she has you got a daughter in high school. So she used to be like, I figured she might be like dress your age kind of. She ever said that?
What?
Has your wife ever told you like dress your age, lose the fitted hat?
No. She likes it. She's. I feel I look like a trophy husband for her. I guess. Like younger guy, younger
Okay.
looking at least. So
Maybe that's the perspective
gives-
I'll talk to my wife tonight. I'm like, yeah, you need to like, portray me differently. You market me differently.
Yeah.
The mentality will change.
Exactly.
I always get told I look younger than I am, though.
I think same thing. Yeah,
I think it's because of the way I dress, though.
same with me. I think like Ziyad, like people come up to me, but like you must be like 25.
Like, let's ask how old do you think I am?
I thought you were late 20s, Mort.
See? I wish I was late 20s, man.
I mean, based off our conversation we were having, I figured that you were like 30s.
Yeah, so I'm like 36.
Yeah, when I first met Mahin, I thought he was like late 20s, early 30s also.
Yeah.
And I'm 35.
What a dope kids, bro.
Yeah.
What it is. What a dope boys.
No
What
doubt.
it is.
So like let's talk a little bit back to Mist.
Yeah,
You guys have a big event coming up in a couple weeks, right? In Chicago?
Yeah, so April 21st, 22nd, 23rd is our annual tournament. The Mist tournament is happening. Inshallah, this year it's going to be at American Islamic College. So yeah, we're bringing it into the city. First time we've left the suburbs.
Well,
About time,
when I first heard about Mist, I pictured the tournament at Happy Gilmore, where he's Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore, where they go through all these different tests in order to pass. But what actually happens? So
Yeah, I was gonna ask like, what is it? Because I don't know what an interscholastic tournament is. Like, I just don't. I'm a dumb kid.
yeah, me and Mort,
Right, my
we
brother-
were the class clowns
Yeah,
who.
my brother on the other hand was a genius. He partook in all this stuff. He went to like MIT. I mean, he got accepted to MIT and all this stuff. He's a genius, right? So I got you ever seen that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger? I'm Danny DeVito and my brother's Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I got the crap genes, right? So I'm the dumb kid. Right, so the thing is that I don't know what happens with interscholastic. It sounds like intergalactic or like space almost, But anyway, so what happens? And what are the competitions? Like, what do you guys do? Like, how do you prepare for something like this?
So there's a lot of different preparation. On the organizer side, we have a whole board. We have a Mist board led right now by our regional director Mariam Saidi and our associate directors Safa Dada and Mohammed Kamran. I'm actually co-competition chair, and so I deal with, all the different competitions with my competition chair, Tahrim. We make sure that, all of the different competitions are set up smoothly. And so that's what the whole interscholastic part is. We have like 5 categories. First category is knowledge and Quran. You can take like knowledge tests based off different books, or you do like Quran recitation. We have category for arts. We have a category for writing and oratory. One for bracket competitions like debate or math, or like our Mist Bowl, which is like our quiz bowl type thing. We have one for group projects like Nasheed or business ventures. And then we also have a category for sports. So this year is the first year Mist Chicago is offering not just basketball, but soccer also as a little test. So it's like a wide range, right? It's like basically anything that someone could be interested in, we have a competition for. It's not just like if you're math and science, STEM. It's like, if you're into, the liberal arts, if you're doing, drawing and stuff, we got 2D art for you. If you're doing, writing, we got poetry for you. So, we try to make it all inclusive, all accepting, so everyone can compete. And I think that's just a big thing for us, like trying to get as many Muslim students to sign up to show that, like, it's a place that y'all can come and compete, and interact with each other, right? Like from all over Chicago. So yeah, I think that's like one of the bigger things about it. And from a competition side, we have like, a whole rule book. So if you enter one of these things like 2D art, you got to make sure your submission follows the rules, that it goes by the theme and everything. And that you submit everything on time.
Man, you hit something. You talked about something just on location. How hard was it for y'all to like actually do something in the city? Because people like we volunteer for other organizations. They're like, oh, unless it's in Lombard, we ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean definitely. I think it was a kind of a challenge. I think I was a big proponent of it, being someone who lives in the city, and getting rid of my car makes life easier if the competition's in the city. But I think just based off other regions, Mist Houston has always been at the University of Houston, which is like the center of Houston. And other regions have it, like Toronto has it at University of Toronto. I think having it at a big name university is something that just gains you a little bit of recognition, I think, and prestige. And so moving it into the city was a big step for us. We're trying to also, get a lot of the Muslims in the city itself. So that's one aspect that we're working on, working with different organizations to like spread the word of Mist in the city and get students from there. But it was a challenge. A lot of people had, complaints. They're like, hey, it's going to be hard to get to and stuff. But at the same time, when we went from like south suburbs to west suburbs, the south suburbs complained. I was like, if you guys are going to complain about that, you'll complain no matter what. Yeah. Right? I was like, I can't take this like complaint from the suburbs anymore. If you guys are going to complain moving from one suburb to another, we're just going to the city.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you, because I live in the burbs now. I've always felt like Sim and Mort, you guys can chime in. Do you think Chicago cats who are from the suburbs, like, would you grow Villa Park or like Glen Ellen, like Western burbs, they were like, they ain't gonna go to Orland or Bridgeview.
No, we're not.
Dude.
That's their territory. That's Arab territory. We do not go over there.
What I don't go to those areas because I don't need to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I had to, I'd go. But everything I need is right here.
Okay, but like, let's say there's a program like
No.
We only go there for good food, good Arabic food.
I mean, why would I? I mean, look, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not like Sim and you guys where I attend lectures and programs. I just don't do that. Right? I mean, it's just not my thing. I'm done. I'm kind of like.
You're a deviant.
I'm off the manhaj, but in that sense. But no, but what I mean is, like, so you're asking the wrong guy. But I mean, if I had to go somewhere to pick something up or eat some food, yeah, I'd drive over there. I mean, I would no problem. But do I prefer? I mean, if I could find that closer in the suburbs, like Lombard, yeah, I'd go to the Lombard one. Why would I go all the way out there? I mean, honestly, I hardly go to the city now, bro. I hardly go. I think the last time I was in downtown Chicago was probably 5 months ago.
that's not well. So it's funny. I would. So we had remember when you and Amr we were going to the Radio Islam bit.
Right. We got lost.
It was hilarious, man. These guys were coming in. We were trying to set something up. I forgot. We made it eventually. But I was like, could you like just jump off, take CTA in? And they were like, never took the CTA in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've lived in Chicago my whole life. I've never taken a train. Ever.
No. Yeah, it's
Never.
Look,
I never needed to.
everything is based on necessity, and majority of the of a suburban life, you have everything close to you. So
No, but like the thing is, even when I lived in the city too, I didn't take a train.
Where do you live in the city? Which part?
Near Humboldt Park.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, but I even had a car then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I never had to take it. Right. And I think that's gonna grow because now with Uber coming along, you know, hey, we're gonna get on the subway. You know, you're gonna take an Uber. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look, some people like that whole thing, you know, but I ain't trying to mingle with people I don't like. Right? It's just my thing because I will knock a dude out. Right? And I don't tolerate, you know, bull whatever. I won't do that. You know. But some people are tolerant. You know. I mean, I've heard stories in the train where people are going, you know, and the weirdos and I don't trust like crazy people. Like, you know, if they're around you, if they get too close, that right hand comes out. You know what I mean? It's just so I mean, no. So I mean, everybody has, you know, their sensitivities and things like that. Like, you know, it's cool.
No, but I think a lot of it is where. So I remember Ziyad and I were talking one time about we're trying to do some like, I don't know, nonprofit work in the hood, and like everyone's like, oh, my parents won't let us go to the city. Or mainly, they won't let us go to these bad areas.
Look,
It's always the excuses the sisters aren't allowed. It's like, oh, it's not safe for the sisters.
I get that. I get that part, but I mean, I'll be honest here, okay? So before I did all this, like my current job and all these things, before I went to Dubai, I used to have a company where we would hang televisions on people's walls, okay? I had a contract with Walmart and Sam's Club. And majority of the people that would get these TVs done are people on the South Side, okay? They would get some tax money and get Walmart, buy a TV, pay for the mounting, and we do it. So I went all over the South Side. Now, I'll be honest, bro. In all my years, like I've gone all over the South Side. I've taken Sheikh Amr with me. I mean, many people have been with me. I've never once had a bad encounter. I've been at Cottage Grove Drive, and I mean, down Dirty to 26th and Cali. Everywhere you mentioned, I've been there, right? I found that, to be honest, the corner streets look the worst, but the minute you get in the neighborhood, it looks nice. It looks nice. Like, it's not bad. I mean, yeah, there's certain areas where I would stay out of, certain parts where I don't want to be talking to certain people, yeah. But I mean, I've had a van full of tools and televisions right there, and I've had a problem. A lot of it is how you deal with them. If you want to make them look like criminals and talk to them like criminals, then they'll deal with you the way they deal with you, right? But if you treat them like human beings, in a lot of cases, most cases, they're not going to have a problem with you. And mind you, I had a beard down to my chest that time. I mean, I was walking around like, you know, I was about to take over the whole neighborhood.
I've always felt like Muslims get better respect in the hood.
I mean, one dude called me Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Moses.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're cool though. I mean, I don't mind. I think maybe I didn't have a problem because maybe they probably thought I was half black or something. I don't know.
I think it's just like the problem that I have is, you know, we're always talking about how, oh, you know, we're diverse, you know, the dean loves everyone and stuff, but we're just feeding into these stereotypes, into this anti-blackness thought about how, oh, we can't even like go to the South Side to do charity work because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah, the longer you keep doing that, it'll stay dangerous. Like, you got to help to like work on it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Muslims have tons of shops in the South Side. Every like Euro shop is on every corner, right? So we'll take the money from them, but we won't do anything
That's
to
the
help
funny
them.
thing, right?
And the alcohol shops.
And the alcohol shop.
If the daughter has to go pick up the father from the work, no problem. Go to the South Side and pick him up.
Yeah.
Bring him back home, right? But if you got to go to something else,
Yeah, in broad daylight too, like a soup kitchen at noon.
yeah.
Right?
You know what I'm
It's just like,
saying? Yeah.
What's the problem?
I mean, I will say this though. To their credit though, there is a lot of crazy. I mean, Chicago has 600 dead bodies in the South Side, right? And so when you hear those kind of numbers and you have a daughter, that is kind of alarming, right? You know what I mean? When you think that, hey, I'm not saying that they're all evil people, but it's a danger zone in some ways.
In certain areas.
And it's like be smart,
Specific.
right?
Yeah.
Like just be smart. Don't volunteer in Inglewood. Like that is the most dangerous area with the most gang violence. But just set it up at areas where it'll be okay. Like partner with Iman. Iman has a great work that they're doing in the South Side. Partner up with them and help them with stuff. Just got to be smart about stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Now this tournament coming up, like how's it work? Is it like Friday night? Is it like March Madness where you start with a bunch of teams and they kind of like whittle down, or
That's only for the bracket competition.
Can people bet on this?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
your
but that's what
prerogative.
me and Mort will do. We can't. We're not smart enough to participate in these tournaments.
I'm hoping I get the lucky guy. That guy looks smart. Let me put money on him.
You got all the different Miss Bowl teams. So Friday
The
night is
bookies.
actually just sports. So Friday night is just sports. We'll have all the basketball and soccer stuff then, and all the organizers are usually at where the tournament location is, setting up for Saturday, Sunday. And then Saturday, Sunday, we have a whole program of not just the competitions, right? We got to stagger the competitions so people can compete in them properly, but we also have different workshops led by different people, right? Just different over different topics. We try to keep, like, if the student doesn't have anything, if he's not competing at that time, there's always something for him to do, right? Rather than let them just like sit there.
So when you were competing, what did you compete in?
So my
What was
primary
your area of
competition was knowledge
You
tests.
look like a math guy.
I'm deep into math, like I'm
he's
an
an
engineer and
right?
everything.
Civil engineer, right?
But I was
you just look like
never
a math guy too. I could tell.
Yeah, but I never did
your
it.
nose, you're a math guy.
I think that's just the glasses, maybe. I just give off that engineering, aura.
Yeah,
So
what did you do?
So I actually never did math Olympics. I didn't want to go to a competition and just do math. So I did knowledge tests, which is like you read a book and you take a test over it. So I would read it like driving on the way to the competition. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to read this book. Let me quickly
So
do
that has
it.
to do with like comprehension.
Yeah, it was a lot of like, it was usually
Subject
Islamic
matter
books, right?
comprehension.
Hey, this book is about Islamic history in this period. Read it, and then there'll be a whole test over it. I did that, and then I did Missed Quiz Bowl. So Missed Bowl is kind of like one of the bigger aspects of Missed. It's like a whole quiz bowl thing where, if you have a team of at least 4 people and you try to compete, and you answer based off different like categories, like there's current events, there's Islamic history, different little categories, and it's all buzzing and stuff. So that gets pretty intense. People like to
you actually have a
spectate.
buzzer?
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole
That's
quiz
pretty
bowl
dope,
type
man.
thing.
I'll
Yeah.
join just to hit the buzzer.
So that
I'll be
one's-
the designated buzzer. Like,
So that was one of our more popular ones because everyone wants to like compete, represent their team, right? That's like one of the bigger represent your team kind
So
of
how does one
competitions.
prepare for something like that? Like how do you get? How do you practice for that? Because either you're smart or you're not, right? I mean, it's just kind of one of those. You know what I mean?
So Miss Bowl itself has like we have like packets that the students can download off the website and they can study.
Will
Other
those
than-
be the actual questions used? Or
Yeah, so the information they study, the questions are based off that. Other than current events is just like what's been happening and just keep up with the news. But then like if it's something like, usually it's not just like Islamic history. Like it'll be like, maybe Islamic history over this time period, like the Mamluks, right? And so the whole like packet we'll have like information about the Mamluks. And then the questions will be based off the information in the packet. So it's like, how well did you get to memorize that type of stuff? And how well can you remember that type of stuff?
I think that's pretty cool, man. Because to be honest, it makes people more well-rounded.
Yeah,
Like,
I wish we had something like that when I was in high school.
No, I mean,
You were
I
part of
think...
that?
Sorry?
You were part of that? in
No,
high
no.
school?
I wish I had it. I was in Ohio. I was
yeah.
just in high school. I just cared about like white chicks.
You just hung out with
Carlton
you just hung out with
jeans.
Republicans, right?
Well, yeah, Republicans. Yeah, that's how you get. Like, it's a cycle, man.
I picture him as Alex from Family Ties. What was that? Not Family Ties. Who?
Alex-
Michael J. Fox's character, dude. in
Growing Pains.
Growing
no,
Pains?
that
not
wasn't Growing Pains, man. That was
Facts of Life? No. What was
Family
it?
Ties?
yeah, I think that was Family
Family
Ties.
Ties. It was Family Ties.
Yeah.
That was him. Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah, he was a young Republican kid.
Yeah, he'd always
know?
he'd wear like the cotton blazer and like the his khakis.
He
And all
loved
these-
talking about Reaganomics. And
Yeah, loved Reagan. Yeah, and he couldn't even vote yet, but they talk about Reagan and Bush.
Yeah.
Sounds like half the classmates I went to school with.
Oh, yeah. No, I was like, yeah, no doubt. Well, back in Texas.
Yeah, back in Texas.
Hey, but just so you guys know, I'm not beating up Mahin about being a Republican because I do share some Republican values.
No,
I am. Mahin, no worries. I am beating you up.
I do share
yeah.
some Republican values. I'm tired of leftist people trying to tell me how to think.
oh man.
Yeah, it seems they gotta tell me I gotta identify with 80 different genders. No thanks.
No man.
Yeah.
Hey, I was
Anyway,
gonna ask you, Ziyad. So, like, you guys have a keynote speaker coming in too, right?
Yes, we do.
Can we talk about that?
We can. Hamza, he confirmed yesterday, and it is Daniel Hakikaju, a former Mad Mamluke's guest, was he not?
Yeah. He is
Former in the future.
You know, inshallah,
and
future.
Yeah, he's a regular, but he hopefully will grab him.
No, I mean, I think it was his episode on Mad Mamluke's that made me push to get him as a guest for Miss Chicago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his conviction episode, I was just like, I fell in love with, and then I saw him at Texas Dawa convention, best convention of all time. But yeah, so
That episode made top 3. Did you know that? Yeah.
I mean, I can
Our
see
top
why.
3,
Like,
yeah.
you know, what he's been talking about is what a lot of people are identifying with, especially after this recent loss and stuff. You know, with Trump winning, I think what Daniel has been, his whole shtick, what he's been discussing these days is what people are really connecting with.
What do you think about? But Daniel said that Trump would be good for Muslims.
I do think that also in terms of, have you seen our community so united
Yeah, united and actually getting off their butt and doing something.
and actually thinking about their deen again, right? Like thinking, because it's like times like this where, you know, a lot of, as he would say, a lot of like leftists are kind of, you know, pushing back, but with very leftist ideas and a lot of liberalism, a lot of secularism, a lot of feminism, all these very Western ideologies. And people are like, wait, no, we just don't want Trump. Like, what? We don't want that either, right?
Yeah.
So
there's
I
two
think
things good about Trump. Trump, number one, you know, if he does it, he's gonna fix my taxes, right? That's what number two. Number two, he got rid of this whole PC business, dude. Like, you can basically say what you want to say now. I mean, think about it. You have a president that basically said he grabs women by the you-know-what, and he gets elected. And he calls people by the art. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but what I'm saying is at least now it's forcing Muslims to deal with the reality that, hey, people are going to call you whatever they want to call you now.
Yeah.
And they can get away with it, and your feelings don't matter anymore. So do something about it and change it, right? Don't try to complain.
And you gotta have a good, articulate, coherent argument.
Yeah, and the thing is, you
shame
can't
them.
rely on typical left arguments of racism and bigotry and
Islamophobia.
crying around, and,
Yeah.
and all, it doesn't work. You have to present rational arguments and really make a difference, not just marching the street and hold a sign up. It's not going to make a difference, right? Because they're tired of hearing that. One of the reasons why Trump got elected was because they're tired of these groups doing stupid things like this, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Not to segue too much. I was listening to a conversation between Dawood Walid and Tarek Torre,
I love that with Waleed.
and they were talking about like the people like everyone wants to be pro movement, and Tarek Torre is like, pro movement is like you're mentoring some kid in the hood for like a year,
Yeah.
and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what you're talking about, Ziyad, because I know Ziyad does some tutoring, right? Mm-hmm. And like, do you have one kid that you tutor, or do you do you just bounce back and forth?
No, so Alhamdulillah, I got set up with this organization called Tutoring Chicago.
Yeah.
They're a great organization in the city. They're formerly, I believe, like Cabrini Green Tutoring. So they service the area where Cabrini Green serviced, and they basically have it where you come in 1 day a week. That's it, 1 day a week, one night for an hour and a half. So I go every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30, and I tutor 2 kids. And I basically just make sure they have done all their homework. If they have any questions about their homework, I help with that. And from there, I know like we get their report cards and stuff, so I know what they're struggling on. I try to make sure to like work on that. This one kid, I remember one of the kids, I have 2 kids. One's named Demarion and one's name is Kevin. One's Hispanic and one's black, and they're the 2 funniest kids I've met. They're hilarious. One has like a YouTube channel, Demarion, like where he sings on YouTube and stuff. And these kids are like, in 5th grade. I'm like, you have a YouTube channel, bro? Right? But
No,
it's,
the cool thing is you can identify some of their talent. Like, he may be naturally inclined. Just for example, a 5th grader to be on YouTube, and to be able to leverage that is a pretty big thing. You know what I mean? He may tap into some type of talent that he has, just
Right.
based on that.
And he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing the talent show at my school. And I was like, yo, if you do, tell me. And if it's okay with like the organization with your family, I'll try to come and see it. And like, you could just see like the excitement in his face that like someone wants to like, that isn't like his parents or isn't his friends, like just his tutor wants to come see him perform. Like that's just like a big impact on these kids. So alhamdulillah, yeah, I think it's a great organization and it is very little commitment, right? Like once a week for an hour and a half. And you get to make such an impact with these kids. And so, yeah, it's definitely something like that. I think Tarek Dore and Dawood Walid, following them on Twitter is just like you get so many like good little nuggets of wisdom from both of them. And especially with all of this like movement talk, right? It's like, but what movement are you
Yeah, 'cause
for?
a lot of cats just think that I'm going to a protest, I'm a rally, and I'm gonna like something on Facebook or share something,
Yeah.
right? And then that's all. But what we're talking about doing real like work, like one-on-one, because a lot of times we want to talk about like crime in the city, right? A lot of kids because they give up hope,
Yeah.
right? And if there's like one person you can reach, it can like sometimes has a much more impactful, statement than just being on the street with like a million people.
Exactly. Like there's this one organization I'm trying to get involved in. It's called My Block, My Hood, My City, right? And they take the kids from the South Side and take them to parts of the city that they would have never had the chance to go to, right? Like go to like the North Side or the West Side, visit like, this cultural center or like this show, somewhere not on the South Side, right? Just expose these kids to more than what they've been seeing just to give them a broader outlook on life, right? And the whole concept is like, you live in the city, you have your block, your hood, your city, improve your block, you'll improve your hood, and you'll improve the whole city overall. I think that's the biggest thing that we've kind of lost. Like, how can we improve ourselves and the people around us to have a bigger impact?
Okay, I want to get back to Mist.
Wait, how do you start a MIST chapter in your city? Do they have to get their own funding and whatnot, or do they contact Miss Central and?
So now there is like Miss Nationals. Before, like it was just like cities were being set up and stuff. But now there's a national organization. It's a nonprofit. They're called Miss National. And so I think to start a Miss chapter, let's say like if you're in Seattle, right, and you want to start Miss Seattle, I'm not sure if there's one yet, but if there's like you want to start Miss Seattle, you first, I think, contact Miss Nationals because they have like the rights to the whole Miss brand.
Right.
Right. And they usually help set up like the first few years, right? They'll help you get started. They'll come run a lot of like the initial starting because you usually don't know what to do.
Where does the money come from? Advertisers or?
Yeah, so it's a combination. So to register for Mist, it costs money. If the registration fee ranges across, regions depending on how much money they have and how much they can reduce it. So you have the registration fee from each competitor, and then we also just try to get sponsors. So yeah, if anyone's listening and wants to donate or sponsor, Miss Chicago's always looking. But yeah, so we try to get sponsors. Miss Nationals also has like national level sponsors. That have like, their name on all the regions as well. And so they provide a lot of initial funding sometimes for a region to get like started, and then you kind of go from there.
Right.
I haven't had any experience actually starting a region. I know Miss Chicago is one of the younger ones, but it seems like these days that a new region starts up like every other year.
So like you've been involved now in Chicago for like a couple years now. You started last year.
Yeah. So this will be my second Mist with Miss Chicago. It's is also inshallah gonna be my last year. As much fun as I've had with Miss Chicago, it's just something that at a certain point you want to kind of like hand off to like the younger generation to get people with experience, right? Because if you don't like kind of like let other people take over, then one day you're gonna leave and they won't know what to do, right?
Yeah, and usually when you first start, you kind of bring a lot of passion into it, right? And after a couple of years of working with it and going through the grind, your passion starts wearing off, and you want to give it to somebody who carries that same passion that you came in with, right?
Exactly. And I mean, since it's a high school tournament, a lot of our volunteers and board members are college kids, right? Like they went to Miss during high school and then they graduated, are in college, and they want to now start helping. So that's like I think the bigger core of the people who are helping, like college kids. And so like I'm out of college now, kind of like working full time, and it's just like a time where it's like, what, I need to step back and let more of the college kids handle it. I think that's like a big thing, right? A lot of these, people right now are RD and AD have been doing it for like 4 or 5 years, and they're also looking, kind of like see who else can take over and stuff.
Well, what's your pitch to? So, if there's a kid listening to this podcast right now, and there's a lot of organizations that have reached it, because there is always a talent crisis with organizations. Not to find volunteers. It's always easy to find like a volunteer, someone to like show up for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
But it's find committed someone who's going to take on a leadership role. Whether it's something like Al Maghrib Kabir Al Wasat or Mist or whoever, Maruf. We're trying to get Maruf Chicago up and running for like a minute. That's always a challenge, and you have these organizations looking for people. The talented people are very few in number, or people who not talent, but people who are. We have a crisis with people who will commit to anything, right?
Yeah,
People just are like famous. They just flake. They say I'm down for whatever, and they just flake.
It's funny you say that because I was telling someone recently that like I joined the Muslim Writers Collective board, and my friend goes, "Bro, you just join boards to be on boards." He's like, "How many organizations are you a part of?" And I'm like, "Hey, I try to like get involved." And the reason I think MIST is something that every college kid should definitely get involved in at least. One, I think you should compete as a high schooler, and then as a college kid, you should, try to join the board or be involved, whether judging or volunteering. I think MIST has a special place as something that's solely for the youth and primarily by the youth, right? A lot of these different organizations, they're just like either you're volunteering, Alhamdulillah, you're doing like charity work, or, you're helping like Al Maghrib, you're like hosting a class, right? But MIST is like a tournament which, I know it's going to sound cliche, but really does change lives. Like a lot of times it provides these Muslim kids with a place where they can meet other Muslim students. Like for us, there was like, I think not max, but like 10 members of our MSA. And that was like the only people who would come regularly, right? And we had like 6 people go to MIST itself, right? So we didn't have a lot of Muslims in our high school, but then you go to this tournament and there's like 400 kids, all Muslim, all excited to compete, all high schoolers, right? You make friends that last beyond that, right? And so I think it provides...
For guys, you might be able to find a spouse.
That's what I was thinking too.
So many people get married through
Me and
MIST.
Mahin the same wavelength here.
I mean, I think... many people have, I think, was it Daniel Hakakaju? He started Miss Boston. He helped find that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so, MIST has like a long, people go through MIST and get into these big positions and stuff. People get married. There's always that joke, MIST spouses and stuff. People joke about that with me and my fiance because even though we didn't meet through MIST, we're both very involved with MIST. And so I think it provides that avenue, one, for either kids who don't have a lot of Muslim, interaction. But 2, even if you have like a good amount of Muslim interaction in your school or outside your school, it provides just like an environment where it's like you're safe to be Muslim, right?
Do you know why I think it's important? It's because unfortunately we see an underrepresentation of Muslims in academia, right? And this is one way we can kind of jumpstart and say that that Muslims can jump into. It's kind of like laying the groundwork.
Sure.
Meaning that if you're used to being around the environment where you're competing and you're reading material, you're trying to become well-rounded, you can eventually end up, maybe pursuing that further. And for example, doing what Yasser Qadi is doing right now in academia, meaning he solidified his position and he is working within that arena in order to progress Islam. And I think it's important because, let's be honest, look at some of these groups and politicians. A lot of them started off in groups like these, where they would join conferences and compete and meet other like-minded individuals and go from there. And it's kind of like a networking base that you need to have at a young age around, and networking with the right people, meaning motivated people, not people who just want to motivate, get together for whatever stupid reason. It's for something productive, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. It's a productive outlet for Muslims who are wanting to use their potential or their ability.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned the importance of networking, because there are people in our community who are in their 30s, 40s, even later, who don't understand that.
Yeah.
And if you can teach a kid to understand, my dad used to always tell me, it's not what you know, but who you know.
Right? Oh, no, that's definitely true.
And then that's a good platform. I remember even as a kid growing up, I used to excel mostly in school when I was like in elementary school because of all the spelling bees and stuff like that. I used to go to districts and all that kind of stuff, right? And then as you get older, it's like all about the grades. But that love of learning is stripped away from you. I think MIST kind of gives you that outlet to continue on that path, just to like know stuff. And now as I get older, now I'm more interested in learning for the sake of learning.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's also like it provides a different outlet for the youth, right? Like there's always going to be, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of great youth organizations. A lot of masjids have their own like youth organization. There's Young Muslims, there's all these organizations, but MIS provides it in a different way. It's not just like, go to the masjid, have a halaqah and eat dinner, right? It's, you have like competitions where anybody can compete, right? Like it's the person who's interested in writing or the person who's interested in math. There's always a typical, oh, we're STEM, we're desis, we do engineering, we do doctor, we do something like that, right? But this provides an avenue for like, that Muslim kid who's into poetry and, maybe none of his friends are. Maybe no one he knows is into it. The local U chapter, they don't really have any poetry stuff. But then look, Miss comes along and he has an opportunity to go and compete in poetry and then meet other people who do poetry. And maybe he can make some Muslim friends who are also into poetry. And it also provides an avenue where, maybe the other poetry competitions he's been looking at aren't really Muslim focused. So like the themes aren't something he's really interested in, but alhamdulillah, our themes, we try to make them kind of like Muslim focused, something that they can talk about.
Okay.
Right.
So like now Daniel comes in, he's going to give like a keynote speech, or is he doing that? A bunch of judging? What's he doing?
So he's probably going to do the keynote speech at the award ceremony. He's our keynote speaker. So at the award ceremony itself, he'll be talking about the theme, which I've been talking about, but I haven't really said. So our theme this year is the challenge of beauty, striving for perfection in an imperfect world. So it's definitely a little bit of a mouthful, but we tried to do a theme around beauty, around like, there's that line that Allah is beautiful and he loves beautiful things. Right. And so we wanted to focus on like, Allah loves beauty, but in every aspect, right? It's not just superficial. It's not just like, are your eyebrows looking good? Are your sneakers looking good? Right. It's not just like that, but is your adab good? Are your manners good? Or is how you act good? Is all of that beautiful? Right. If you're beautiful from inside out, right, then it doesn't matter. Allah will love it. Right. Allah just loves whatever is beautiful. And so I think that's like this theme tackles a pretty like difficult concept sometimes, right? Especially in this age of social media, a lot of these young kids are very insecure, right? They're always posting stuff to try to like get feedback, get those likes and stuff, try to get, approval, get their self-esteem boost. So it's definitely something we wanted to kind of tackle in this age that, hey, beauty is something more than that. And I think Daniel, I kind of pushed for him because I think he can definitely bring a new perspective on it to these high school kids. And the reason I kind of pushed was after his Texas Dawah convention talk where he talked about, sexuality in Islam. It was just a very thought-provoking talk. And I thought, he had a very good understanding of where the youth are, where the millennials are kind of in the U.S. right now, and how, they're interacting with sexuality, with genders, with beauty and stuff, and how a lot of it's trying to like assimilate and kind of like abandon parts, but I think he can provide a good perspective on that.
You said last year you guys had like Noor Taguri as your keynote speaker.
Yeah, so that was last year's.
So like not the pigeonhole or nothing. Is it safe to say that traditionally MIST has always looked for people who are like, because Daniel isn't like super famous. Like people know him, but he's not like uber famous. Like Noor is someone who's in like mainstream media, right? Like average Muslim would know Noor, but they wouldn't know Daniel. You'll know Daniel if you're reading like blogs and you're like,
if you're into Islamo
nerd, right? As we say,
circles.
No, I mean definitely. I think that was one of the challenge I had in trying to get Daniel. Because I'm not in charge of programs and workshops, right? I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I was like, I'm in charge of competitions. I'll deal with that. But I think Daniel would be a good choice. And they were looking into different people, right? Different speakers, a lot more well-known speakers. And whether it be through budget or time or, their schedules, a lot of them just didn't work out. And so alhamdulillah, I was able to get Daniel to the top of the list, and be like, hey, I think he would be really good. And I think that was one of the problems that a few of them had. They were just like, we don't know his name. We don't know who he is. We've never really heard him speak. Will anyone else know his name? But that's also the reason I think, MIS can provide that kind of platform for people who are starting, right? If you're starting off, you can do stuff like Miss Chicago and kind of like get your name out.
That's awesome, because that's something that we're really all about also, that we have guys like Suhaib Webb and Omar Suleiman and some really amazing people on who are well known, but we want, we want the hidden gems of Muslim life in America.
We got you on today, so like.
Yeah, is this the start of my burgeoning rise?
It could be, who knows?
But I mean, and that's the same thing. It was like at the same time we were trying to remind them like MIST isn't about like this keynote speech isn't like our huge thing. Like we're still our main focus is the tournament, right? We're not a conference. We're not like our whole thing isn't the speaker, right? Our whole thing is let's get this tournament for the high school youth. Right, that's our main focus, that the high school youth that are coming have the best experience they can. The competitions run smoothly, everything gets judged properly, right? They get their awards and stuff. Alhamdulillah, if we can get a good speaker for the award ceremony, then that's a bonus, right? That's like, let's get it confirmed, it's good. But we don't need, a super well-known name. Like, we don't absolutely need that. If we get that, that's alhamdulillah, that's great. But if not, we have someone who I think will do a good job, and, people will soon know his name then.
Is there anything that old farts like me, Sim, and Mort can do for MIST?
Yeah, definitely. There's either you can volunteer or judge. Judging, personally, I think is a great opportunity. We always need a lot of judges, and there's so many different categories.
Can I be like Simon?
I've judged before. I judged a few years ago.
Yeah, I think judging is a lot of fun. I mean, we're all judgmental people. This is a way for you to put it, into actual terms. And then just, general volunteering we need help on. And then also, we do need coaches. So reach out to your local high school MSA, see if they have a coach yet. Because every team that comes is supposed to have someone over the age of 25 who's like their coach. That make sure that everything goes smoothly. So that's a little bit more of a, intensive position because you kind of have to come to the competition with them, make sure everything goes smooth and make sure like everyone's safe kind of.
Yo, we should do that. We should we should give Mamluk t-shirts and be like, yo, represent the Mamluk. Team Mamluk.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what
Sponsored.
I mean? Like, you know how people do little leagues? That'll be like our little league, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do it. I mean, because they have registration fees, so pay for the registration fees and make them wear
What's the age
Babylon
requirement?
to be a coach.
13
No,
to
to be
13 to
in
17?
to enroll in the tournament.
To be in 9th through 12th grade. It's a high school tournament, except for if you're doing Quran, you can also be in 8th grade.
Okay.
you
So
can
what's
be
the deadline
anywhere
for this year?
You can be anywhere from I think 12 to 18, right?
I don't know. When do you get into
No, if you're
freshman
like
year?
14 freshman year.
Yeah, 14 is like freshman.
Well, so what if you're like this really old senior? Like, what if you're like 22?
What's that? Who's the dude from?
What if I can come in there and just dominate?
What if you're Adam or was it Adam Sandler? Right?
No, Matthew McConaughey from that movie, dude.
You mean Van
Seven-
Wilder?
No, 70s movie. That 70s movie, dude.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, all right.
Whatever, dude,
All right.
Yeah.
I can't remember the movie.
But no, so yeah, you just have to be in high school because you register through your MSA. And so yeah, as long as you're in high school, you're good. And
Wait, what if your high school
I
doesn't
think-
have an MSA?
then you can still register. If your high school doesn't have an MSA, you just register as like a team from your high school.
Yeah, so
this is,
Sim,
just-
But you register under like an MSA name.
your wife's your daughter is a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Yo,
So just
she's
get
better
her-
be registered, Sim.
Just
Get her and her
a
friends. We'll make
recommendation,
Team
dude.
Mamluks. We'll just come in there and destroy everybody.
This is just a recommendation. I think Miss should think about putting like an age limit to, like, cause what if you're like this really 25-year-old senior dude, right? Hey, it could happen, dude. Come back to school and he just dominates the competition, dude. It's like that really tall kid in high school is a basketball player, right? Everyone else is like 5'7". He's like 6'5" in his growth spurt.
It reminds me of like
dominates. Dude.
Daniel Monte used to be the pitcher for that little league team. He was like 20, pitching against 12-year-olds.
Hey, if he's legal by his high school, then we're good, right? As he's a high school student.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so
definitely
you have a
cool.
website we can like look at?
Yeah, so Miss Chicago, we have misschicago.org, and we have all of our stuff on there. And then the Miss Nationals is getmystified.squarespace.com.
And if anybody wants to hit you up on a personal level, where can they find you?
So personally, I'm on Twitter. I'm on under Zboy, ZBHOY, and then my email, Ziyad.Dadabhoy@gmail.com. And then for Mist, if you want to email them, they're chicago@getmystified.com.
Okay, so I
Can they
think
catch you at Comic-Con?
Nah, that's the same weekend as Mist this year.
Are you
figured
serious?
that
Yeah,
like-
C2E2.
I went to Comic-Con 2 years ago. It was awesome.
I've
You know,
been-
the only convention I've been to is similar to that is like a vape fest. Bunch of weirdos walking around. Dude.
don't vape, high schoolers. Don't vape.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, yeah, C2E2 is the same exact weekend as the Mist tournament, and I was like, no, it's okay.
no, 'cause I imagine you got these other projects you got going on with the tutoring and the my street, my block thing, and other Muslims might be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's always one of those things where it's like, well, they might be thinking the same thing. They're like, I want to help out somewhere. I don't know anything about it. Let's partner up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, hit me up. I'm always, excited to tell people about different volunteer opportunities and ways to get more involved with MIST.
No doubt.
So one thing, how much does it cost to register then?
I don't want to give you a number because I don't know exactly. I know it's around $40 or $50. I think we've entered late registration period, so there may be a fee.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to.
It's $40 or $50 for each child.
student.
Contestant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Child.
Yeah.
Child.
They are children.
Yeah, and so I mean, you can register in through your MSA, and then you can have one person pay or each student pay. There's we have an amazing registration coordinator who helps every school that needs it. You can contact her or you just email Chicago at Get Mystified, and she'll get in touch with you. And she helps everyone deal with the registration website.
Any idea when registration runs out or it expires?
I'm not sure exactly. I should have probably looked that up. I think we have it gets pretty close to the.
They can
date
go on the
of.
website and check it out. I'm just putting you on the spot.
No, it's good. I mean, I should have probably known that. I think we get pretty we get pretty close to the day before we cut off registration.
Oh, okay.
But we do try to cut it off just so we can get stuff like T-shirts, get final numbers for how many different supplies we need and stuff.
Yeah, any superstars we should be looking for. If anyone wants to come and just be a fan, they can show up too.
Yeah, no, you can bring friends and stuff. But if you want to get into the award ceremony, when Daniel Hakikachu is going to speak, you're going to have to pay if you're not a competitor. So we usually open up ticket sales for that a little bit before the competition.
Is there food for that?
No, that's just to hear Daniel speak.
Do we
Come on,
get
man.
to get in for free because we kind of inspired you guys, or?
I mean, if you want to sponsor us, you can get in for free.
Sponsor that.
We're looking for sponsors.
You could do a podcast, with some of the kids there and stuff. But yeah,
What do you think this podcast is? We're gonna put this out soon. Get y'all more hits.
we're good. Yeah, hopefully that'll get people going to the MIST of all regions. That's the thing. It's there's MIST in so many regions that there's probably one near you. We have a team from Omaha, Nebraska coming. Think about that.
Coming to Chicago.
Coming to Chicago for Miss Chicago this year.
Wow.
We have a team driving all the way from Omaha. If they can come into the city, the suburb kids can come into the city as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. What are they talking about? They bringing in corn? Nebraska.
They're bringing
Well, I mean, hey, let's be honest for a minute, though, okay? They're from Omaha, dude. Of course they want to come to Chicago, right? I mean, the guy who lives from the suburb is not really, he knows Chicago, right? I mean, if you're from Omaha, you definitely drive to Chicago, too.
Do they, though? I mean, I've talked to some suburb kids, and I was like, yeah, do you, take the CTA? And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, wait, what? Do you ever go?
The Chicago Transit.
Dude, if you've been around this country, if you've been to one city, you've probably seen most of the country because it's very cookie cutter models. You see,
No, each city has its own flavor, dude.
I think Chicago's very unique.
Dude,
Chicago is unique. New York is unique. Okay, I'm not talking about
Miami's
everything.
unique. LA is unique. I mean,
But I'm talking about
Dallas is
most of
the cities are unique. Once you get into the suburbs, they're all the
Yeah,
same.
it's all the same.
They're all the
suburbs
same.
are the
But
same.
some cities are very cookie, like Dallas, Houston, Denver. Denver made the mountains, I guess.
No,
Denver's
there's no
alright.
mountains in Denver.
No.
No, you have to drive an
No,
hour.
you gotta go outside. You can see the mountains, but you don't.
That is good enough, right? You can see the mountains. Might as well just drive there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, man. Hey, Ziyad, Jazakallah for coming through. I think we're trying to eat now. So
yeah.
we gotta cook this
Yeah,
baby
we need to
off.
Get some food. I'm starving.
Yeah, same here, man. We
I'm
gotta
down
eat.
for that. Jazakallah for having me again, guys.
All right,
All right,
man.
man.
Thank you for coming.
All right, for anyone out there, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at themadmamlukes@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. We're on Instagram. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Subscribe to us on iTunes or Podcast Addict if you have an Android phone. For our special guests, Ziyad Dadabhoy, and my co-hosts, Mort and Sim, I'm Mahin.
Remember, your belt matches your shoes.
On that note, we're out. Assalamu alaikum.